It's working. Amazing. Finally. Wow. So I'm here. Hi. Oh, thank goodness. That was awful. But I'm here. Please let me know if you can hear me now and not just see me opening and closing my mouth awkwardly. Just comment in the comment section in the chat room and let me know if you can hear me, please. Can you guys hear me? I don't know why this stuff can never just be easy. It's meant to be. Okay, great. Thank you. I see that the sound is working. Thank you. I apologize for the terrible quality of my webcam. I think it's just bad lighting in here. It is evening where I am. So I'm going to make the camera webcam smaller while I do the review as usual. If it starts flickering too much, I'll just turn it off. So I'm Robyn O. That's my YouTube channel. I do animation advice and tips and advice about the animation industry over there. And obviously now I'm also doing these reviews for the rookies. I took a bit of break over Christmas and New Year, but now I'm back again and it's Wednesday. We've started halfway week, so yay us. Yay me for surviving this and getting it to work finally. So let's get into it. Let me find the other screen. There we go. As you can see, today I'm going to be doing Joshua Smith's reel. Joshua Schmidt. Thank you for your submission, Joshua. So he is a contender on the website. Yes, he's a contender. And let's just do a quick run through of his reel. Oh, I'm sorry for my terrible connection. Great. It's a very nice reel. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm sorry, I'm having terrible connection issues tonight. So here I am, I've brought it over into Sync Sketch, and I'm just going to go through it step by step, a little bit slower, and just give you my notes. Let me just get my pen. All right. Okay, so we've got this first scene over here where the dragon is landing. This is really nice scene to start your reel on. It's very impactful, very like cinematic and impressive, so that's really great. You should always start your reel with like your strongest shots to grab people, and then you'll end off again with your second strongest shots to kind of give them that lingering sense of how awesome you really are. So well done on choosing a very good shot to start off with. I like the overlapping there, the overlapping action on the tail. As he's flying, you can see it there, that's very nice. Gives it some nice weight as well as he lands. He looks like a heavy boy, which, you know, dragons would be. He looks sturdy. That's good. The weight comes through very well. The ears also seem to have some overlapping action on them when they're flying like this, especially there. That's quite an extreme movement backwards as he's kind of moving backwards and forwards over there. It feels like a little bit too much, like those joints by the ears. These joints here are like very loose, but then as he lands, they're quite stiff. There's no overlapping action there as he lands or any sort of a follow through. So it's good to keep consistency with, you know, body mechanics. If a joint is sort of a loose joint and very reactive to the rest of the body moving, then it should stay that way throughout. So, for instance, you know, if you have somebody with a really large belly, you know that it's always going to be moving and have that overlapping action with the rest of the body. So just to keep that consistency with the body mechanics. So I would offset the feet a little because they feel quite rigid throughout this shot. You know, you've got this nice fluid movement with the flapping of the wings, and the feet just kind of stick out quite a lot for me because they are very rigid compared to the rest of the body movement. I feel like the ankle bones could rotate a little bit more, you know, as they swing backwards like that. You could have a little bit more movement in the toes. And it's also good to try and avoid twinning as much as possible. So it's not a straight on shot, but it's quite close to being a straight on shot. And already the wings are flapping very much at the same time. The feet are pretty much on the same level for most of the shot. So it would really add a bit more interest. Over here they do kind of change, but sort of here they're very, very sort of, you know, on the same level as each other. So if you just bent one and brought one up a little bit and one was slightly lower, that would add a little more interest. It would also maybe help a bit to slightly tilt the body a little bit just to, you know, put it slightly off center so it's not as much twinning going on. Also, as it lands, you can see over here, the feet both hit the ground at exactly the same time. So I would have one hit the ground first, and then a few frames later, then the other one hits the ground. And he can, as he lands, he would sort of tilt onto the leg that's landing first, and then sort of right himself as he lands. That'll make it feel a little more organic. It's a little mechanical at the moment as it lands. And the same thing with the wings here, they kind of hit the ground at the same time. So again, one would come down first to sort of steady himself, and the other would follow just a few frames later. This shot is also very cool. I like as he blows, there's sort of a little shake because he's blowing his flame so hard. It's like, that's really cool. Gives it a lot of life. You can see the effort behind blowing all that energy out of himself. I would over here, you see, as he comes down and up, and then he sort of tilts over there, that ear is sort of interfering a little at the back, that back ear. Stop. So it's there. Because you've got this highlight on the scale over here, so it's very white. And then this dark ear is kind of poking up in little bits, but it sort of disappears and then it pokes out, and then it disappears and then it pokes out. And it's kind of distracting. It looks almost like an error or a glitch over there. So, and also here, it's poking out a little more, so your brain kind of understands that it's that behind ear. But I would just raise the ear slightly to just make it a cleaner silhouette, have a bit more negative space over here, so there isn't any of that confusion about what that ear actually is behind that dragon, because it does kind of just look like a bit of a glitch over here especially. So next shot, I like this. It's very moody. It's got some nice mist over there. This is a very nice shot. This guy is super cute. So let's just watch it through. He's very cute, very good, like nice quick movements. It's very cute how he walks and he's got that bobbing action. So I really like this one. I would have, when this shot starts, have him sort of mid-jump when you start to first see him here. So like here, he's actually mid-jump. It's good to start any shot sort of like mid-action, because otherwise it feels very stop-start between your cuts and between your shots. So to get a nice flow and continuity, it's good to start mid-action. So I would start with him hopping, like I said here. When he lands, there's very nice sort of overlapping action with the shoulders and the neck especially. But I feel like it's lacking slightly in the downwards movement of the hips and the actual trunk of the body. So when he actually lands here, nice big high hop, but then from here he lands, and you can see that's where the body is. If you go forward, the body doesn't really change in height much over there as it settles. It's sort of very much at the same level. So I feel like as he lands, the body needs to dip slightly more as he adjusts his weight and resettles over there. The shoulders and the neck, like I said, it's very nice, but just a little more there in the hips and the actual body. As he hops as well, I would just try and avoid twinning again as much as possible, so he could have a bit of a tilt to his body. One leg slightly higher than the other. And as he lands again, I would have them slightly offset as he lands after that hop. So here, and he lands, they kind of land, they are slightly offset, but it's very slight, and because you've got this piece of rock in front, you don't really notice the offset, so I'll just exaggerate it very slightly more. And as he hops, most creatures have a dominant limb, so like your left hand or your right hand. So he would have slightly more power in the more dominant leg. So he would usually push off of that one, and that one would give him a little bit of a tilt to his movement as he pushes up because it's a more powerful limb. And the same as when he lands. So you wouldn't land just straight on. I feel like there could be a little more tilt in the hips as he lands as well. You could have a bit of an offset between the shoulders and the hips over there as he lands, and that might make it just feel a little bit more organic, more like a living creature and not an animated puppet or animated leg, you know. The eye could also just have a few eye dots because it's very much just staring off into the same spot at all times. It does sort of follow the camera, but just, just a couple of eye dots might help to give it a little more life as well. It's very cute, though. I do like this one. And that little adjustment in the toes at the end, that's very cute. So this shot here. So this one's also very good. Quick bird-like movements. Let me just go right to the beginning. As he flies into the frame here, because there's no movement happening, it kind of just feels like you've literally got, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, like, you get these birds that you can hang as ornaments, and it's just a bird and it's like on a piece of string or whatever. It kind of feels like this bird is just getting pulled along a piece of string, like this rigid wooden bird ornament. So I would have him flapping as he comes into the shot. Again, I would just, avoid the twinning because it's quite extreme over here. These legs are very much the same. The toes are positioned exactly the same. I would have one like slightly curled more, one slightly higher, just to give it a bit more of an organic feel. This is very nice as he opens his legs here, his talons to land. I would have a little bit of overlapping action on his neck as he settles here. Have the body kind of dock first and then the head follow behind very slightly. And just have the wings tucked back slightly offset, so it's not exactly the same timing for both wings getting tucked back. And at the end here, I would delay this head turning action just by a few frames so that that turning action can register first of his body turning and then the head following. So just a few frames delay, just to give that action some time to breathe. And then you've got these really interesting shots of these faces. These are beautiful. They're very, very nice. There's some nice little details as they blink and, the eye movements and the squinting. It's very nice facial expression animation. A little quirk is very nice. The eyebrows offset. This is all very nice work. And now we've got a big hyena. So this must have been interesting to animate with him walking on the rocks. It feels a little robotic and stiff. There could be a little more movement going on, rotation in the hips and in the shoulders. Hyenas, they have they're scavengers, and you can kind of see it in the way that they move. This guy seems very proud and confident, and usually they kind of scurry around like they're ashamed because they're stealing from the lions. So he's very cocky and confident. Maybe that's just who he is. Maybe he is just a very confident hyena, but he's definitely struggling with stuff quite a lot. So if that's his character, cool. But usually a hyena it sort of goes a bit lower to the ground and it seems ashamed of itself. I've seen a lot of hyenas. I live in South Africa, so we go on safari a lot and stuff, and see that sort of thing a lot. So There's a lot of bounce in the front part of his body, but it doesn't sort of follow through in the hips. The hips are quite stiff. The ankles as well are very stiff. They don't have that sort of bend as the paw is lifted. So the ball's flat on the ground, and then as it lifts, it bends a bit at the ankle. Is it called an ankle? I don't know. But you can see here, you should have it bent back slightly over here as it lifts its leg up. And then it would come back again here to lift there to prepare to go down onto the ground again. Same over here, as it would lift it maybe a bit higher here and have it fall under, and then fix it out over here in preparation to land on the ground. This shot here, especially this movement, as it lands on the ground, the weight distribution seems a little off. And you can see there's a slight popping and like a weakness in the rig of the movement over here as he steps onto that foot. I don't know if maybe the rig was slightly overextended there, but you can see that slight telltale wobble as his weight gets transferred more onto that foot. And it doesn't really feel like it's making full contact with the ground, maybe because this rock over here is in front and it should maybe be like that, so it looks more like it's on the ground, but it doesn't feel like it's making full contact with the ground and like he's actually putting his weight onto it. And over here, his weight would maybe be slightly more forward. Oh gosh, that looks awful. That doesn't look like a human at all. But slightly more forward as the weight goes onto that foot. And then as he lifts it here, there's no flexibility there in that paw. You see there it's very rigid as it comes up. So it will go up like this. And this whole part here wouldn't come off the ground just so cleanly like that. It would still be on there onto its toes. Oh, I hope that this makes sense because my drawings look disgusting. But there would be that rotation, not that flat lifting of it straight off the ground like that. And then he looks at you and he's like, yeah, I am a cocky guy. Look at me, I'm freaking cute. Why wouldn't I be? Oh, what's happening? What's that doing it? I don't feel that. That's weird. It feels a little bit like a puppet here. And there could definitely be an arc as he lifts his head. So from here to there, maybe not this. It's quite a straight line that it's getting lifted there. So I'm definitely putting an arc there. And a bit more rotation on the actual head because obviously it's rotating by the neck bones, but the head also has an independent joint at the top of the neck. So it would rotate from the base and the top of the neck. So if the head could just have some of its own independent rotation, that would make it feel a little more organic too, and less like a puppet. So this is very cool, very interesting. Mocap cleanup. That's very cool. I know they're fighting, but this part here, where they kind of roll over, it's almost like a loving embrace. You know, when people are like in a movie, in a sex scene, and they're like tumbling around in the bed, it kind of has that vibe. I think it's just the timing. It's like very slow and romantic as they flip over each other like that. You know, in a fight, there'd be that momentum of that guy pushing the guy on top of him over, and then the guy on top of him, as he goes over, then his momentum's going to pull this guy over on top of him faster. So that timing could be, fine tuned a little bit. The thing with mocap is that even though it's capturing real life movements, there's obviously still a lot of cleanup and editing afterwards. And sometimes timing's off and it needs to be fixed. Sometimes things that look, normal and fine in real life with real people looks a bit weird in animation, which is why, in animation you need to exaggerate things and you would need to fix timing and stuff like that. So even though this comes directly from a mocap, there are certain timings and actions that, although they look fine and normal in real life done by real people, they don't actually look okay when you're looking at it on screen done by a puppet or an animation. Here his punches, they don't have any sort of impact behind them. He's not really putting his weight behind. I think there needs to be a bit more exaggeration in the body and the follow through of the body as it punches and connects and then kind of slides off the guy's face. This thing where he's flailing around also just. Or maybe have less of that wild flailing like that. It looks very much uncontrolled. Like those keyframes need to just be kind of reduced a little. Maybe have one or two grabs at the other guy. And then this last shot here, I would just fix the silhouette a little because this arm is looking a lot shorter than it should. Obviously, it's the foreshortening and with the camera angle and stuff, but you just need to kind of make it obvious that there is a joint, make it look less short, and then maybe just extend this hand a little just to clean up that silhouette and have a bit more impact in that last, victory shot of this guy having won his fight. So those are my comments. All in all, it is a great reel, and it's just a few little things to consider, for your next projects going forward, things like twinning and overlapping action and follow through and weight and stuff like that. But it's an amazing reel. I mean, I would hire someone who came to me with this reel, so very well done. I hope everyone has a good rest of the week. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you guys want to get reviews on your reels, you can submit via the Google Sheet. It's on the Rookies Discord, I believe. The next one will be next week, same time. Hopefully I'm not going to have the same technical issues. Let's see. If I do, hopefully I'll solve them sooner. Anyway, have a good evening. Bye.